culture is conflict. We over-rely on short-term metrics. The food system is wasteful. I think there's no better way to put it than flat planning.
Today I'm with the Chief Growth Officer of Oddbox, a brand really turning waste into opportunity. Gastón, welcome to the show. So nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
If there's anyone that doesn't know what Oddbox is, tell us.
Oddbox is good food doing good. What we do is we try to fix as much as possible a broken food system. The food system is wasteful, wastes all the time, and we think there's a huge opportunity to really try to minimize waste. We started with wonky fruit and veg. Probably everyone knows us for like the curvy cucumbers,
yes.
like they're really like beautifully odd produce that we have. But now we have moved into other food categories, like for example, from eggs to refillable items, all of them trying to reduce waste in a very, unfortunately, wasteful food system.
Brands and culture, such a big topic. Can you tell me how important is culture-led marketing to your marketing strategy?
I think there is not such a thing as culture-led marketing. Every marketing has a cultural angle because you're operating in a social world that has always a culture embedded in it. So for me, I cannot think how to build a brand or how to do marketing without thinking about what's the cultural context I'm operating.
And it sounds like a big portion of what you do is all about changing consumer behavior. How do you change consumer behavior in 2026? Is there anything that worked particularly well as a strategy?
I think it's really important to make sure that change and consumer behavior becomes something that is inspiring, that people want to do. And usually you can do that, first of all, through small steps. Don't ask people to change radically everything. But then secondly as well, make it positive, make it something that you want to be part of. Oddbox, we are fixing a really serious issue. When it comes to food waste, it's one of the biggest issues that we have. For example, 40% of food is wasted in the world, and more than 10% of the carbon emissions that contribute to climate change, they come from food waste. Do we need to talk about that always with a doom and gloom and a serious tone? No, we can make it engaging. We can make it something that people want to be part of. We call that, in our tone of voice guidelines, the ordinary and the epic. And we try to connect ordinary things, small steps. Like for example, ordering fruit and veg that otherwise could go to waste, to something epic, like fixing climate change.
Yeah, I always say that fun humor works best.
Yes.
No? Tell me, because you've grown so fast as a brand, how do you scale so quickly without losing credibility?
I think it's always important to stay true to your values. I think you can change your message, you can change even how you look. Like we recently rebranded, and Oddbox is now an orange brand, and the message that we have at the moment is not just purely wonky fruit and veg. What we talk about quite a lot is about good food doing good. But there is one thing that we haven't changed, and it's our mission and our values. We really believe in a world where like food doesn't go to waste. And I think those values for me are non-negotiable. That's how you stay credible.
Okay, and any advice on how to turn your consumers into participants?
I think like it's really important that you engage with them, not just in a performative way, but actually listen to customers. Just to give you one example, when we rebranded, we decided to change the color of our brand to orange. That meant that unfortunately, for example, our box letters, so the letters that we send in the box, some people told us, I cannot read them. I cannot read a letter that is printed in orange. As a brand, what I did is like, I listened to them, I actually invited them to participate, and we came up with a new solution that embeds that customer feedback. So it's all about really, it's a small decision that I mentioned, but in every single decision, listening to customers' feedback, making them part of your community, and really making decisions based on the values of your customers, because those values are, the match of those values with your brand is what actually makes people join your mission.
It's all about your consumers, isn't it? How do you measure both commercial and cultural impact of what you do?
I think it's really important that you have a focus on certain metrics that prove profitability for the business, because in the end, of course, a business that is not profitable is a business that is not going to last. But at the same time, I think sometimes we over-rely on short-term metrics. And it's really important as a marketing leader, as a brand leader, that you trust your gut and also think about how are you building emotional connection with your consumers. And emotions cannot be fully measured, and that's fine. I think I always look at certain metrics, like for example, bounce rate, that is a really cool metric. Like if someone basically telling you, I don't like your website, I look at behind that click, behind someone abandoning my website, there is an emotion. There's someone who is frustrated with my website, and I need to connect with that emotion in order to make meaningful change. So numbers are important, but numbers are just signals of customer emotions. And that's the most important thing that you need to connect, because no AI will be able to replace you connecting with another human on an emotional level.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. That there's AI is everywhere these days, but at the end of the day, human emotion will bring that, will help you build that connection. And finally, what is your cultural prediction for 2026?
I think not just 2026. I think for me, my definition of culture is that culture is conflict. I don't believe in this naive definition of culture being self-expression and people hugging each other, like for example Benetton ads used to show us. I think culture is conflict because it's about negotiating between different groups who has power to express themselves in a society. I think it has always been political culture, but this year more than ever, because of how high the stakes are, I think culture is going to be more political than ever. We have seen it already. The first cultural moment in 2026 was Bad Bunny singing and singing in Spanish and saying God bless America, and mentioning all the countries in the American continent starting from the south. If that is not a prediction of what culture will be in 2026, I think there's no better way to put it than Bad Bunny.
That's a massive signal, such a big signal. It's so true. Thank you so much, Gastón. It was such a pleasure to chat. Thanks for sharing your perspective, and can't wait to see you at Brands&Culture in London, 6-7 of May. You're going to be there speaking at the event.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and hopefully it's going to be less windy and more sunny by May.
Thank you so much. Cheers.